Who are these people?
Let me check. Rockfin and Rumble. Nope. And Ghost Start holding it down over on the Rumble. Look at you. All they need is a KY's lethal force on homeless bill. Yep, that should help them. That'd make it way easier, right?
Mm.
All right. Let's go to our next one. We had the lovely Caitlin Johnstone for us this evening with
another one.
Another war. Yeah, we needed another one, right?
I mean, of course.
So look at that. Joseph started another war. So where do you think that is, Collin? You think it's in the Middle East? Probably. That's our favorite spot to do it
Probably.
at. So the WAPO has an article out titled "As Houthis Vow to Fight on U.S. Prepares for Sustained Campaign," with sustained campaign being empire speak for a new American war. The Biden administration is crafting plans for a sustained military campaign targeting the Houthis in Yemen after 10 days of strikes failed to halt the group's attacks on maritime commerce, stoking concern about some officials that an open-ended operation could derail the war-ravaged country's fragile peace and pull Washington into another unpredictable Middle Eastern conflict. The Post reports. The Post also acknowledges that sustained military campaign means war in the ninth paragraph of the article, saying the anonymous U.S. officials cited in the report don't expect that the operation will stretch on for years like previous U.S. wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, or Syria, which is about as reassuring as a pyromaniac saying he doesn't expect he'll be burning down any more houses like all those other houses he's burned down. So, here it is, WAPO. The Biden admin is crafting plans for a sustained military campaign targeting the Houthis in Yemen. Right? So, here we go. The bizarre refusal to just call a war also appeared in a recent press conference with Pentagon spokesperson Sabrina Singh, who acted shocked and aghast that reporters would even ask if repeatedly bombing a country would qualify as being at war with them. It is now fair to say that the U.S. is at war in Yemen, Singh was asked by a Reuters reporter on Thursday. No, we don't seek war. We don't think that we are at war. We don't want to see a blah, 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 blah. Right? So, in a follow-up, several questions later, Singh was asked by a reporter from Politico, you said that we're not at war with the Houthis, but if you know this tit-for-tat bombing, we bombed them 5 times now. So if this isn't war, can you just explain this a little bit more to us? If this isn't war, what is war? Sure, Laura, sure. Great question. I just wasn't expecting it phrased exactly that way, Singh replied with a laugh and a smirk. Look, we do not seek war. We are not at war with the Houthis. In terms of the addition, I think we'd be more of a clear declaration for you. But again, we are doing and the actions that we are taking are defensive in nature. So I'll let her say this nonsense.
How many attacks have been launched on U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria?
Sure, give me 1 second. Liz, to date, there have been approximately 140 attacks on U.S. troops in Iraq and Syria. I have 57 attacks in Iraq and 83 attacks in Syria. Great. Idris Ali, Reuters.
Hey, Sabrina, is it now fair to say that the U.S. is at war in Yemen? And secondly, there are some reports about a U.S. MQ-9 being shot down over Iraq by Iranian-backed militia. Is that something you're tracking?
Thanks, Idris. I'll take the last one first. I have seen those reports. I don't have anything for you on that, so I'd have to circle back with you. I've seen those reports, but don't have anything to add. In terms of your first question, no, we don't seek war. We don't think that we are at war. We don't want to see a region.
Don't lie.
The Houthis are the ones that continue to launch cruise missiles, anti-ship missiles at innocent mariners, at commercial vessels that are just transiting an area that sees 10 to 15% of the world's commerce. The U.S. is what we are doing with our partners is self-defense. We certainly
Don't
don't
lie
want to see this
on
widen
the
out to a regional
public
war,
platform.
and we don't want to see this continue, which is why you have seen the action that we've taken. And as the Secretary has stated before, we will continue to take that action if we need to.
Any questions, Care Bear?
Not questions, but I noticed that they got a brown person to push the propaganda.
Yep, as you
Interesting.
do. So speaking of brown people, this guy also had some stuff to say on this.
Funny enough, I saw earlier on Twitter today that someone called him.
Over like 1,000
Sorry, and Jetty from
days,
Breaking
like
Point.
they are amazing, like they don't do anything wrong. So why you are afraid that you go to this trail if you are assured that they are innocent? Like, can you justify or explain like why you are worried or afraid that Israel subject to the trail? The last question is related to the Houthi. Do we expect that USA could escalate like their operation against the Houthi until like invading Yemen, or like do like an escalation in terms of bombing Yemen, or like they are just going to do some small operation even the Houthi like doesn't care about what are you doing?
Let me work
Three
backwards.
questions. There are three.
Thank you. I heard you. Let me work backwards. First, as it relates to the Houthis, the United States is not interested in any escalation, but it is never acceptable for malign actors to target international vessels, to target legitimate commerce that is flowing through the Red Sea. We're talking about international waters that allow 30% of global container shipping to flow through those waters, 15% of seaborne trade. This is a waterway that is vital, and we will always take appropriate steps to hold those accountable that put things like legitimate commerce, civilians, U.S. personnel in harm's way.
But no invasion.
No.
Except Yemen hasn't bombed anybody.
We're getting there.
So
let's get Angus Young, I mean Mick Wallace. You've never seen them in the same room, so I assume they're the same person. But here's Mick Wallace voicing the concerns you just made. So
I was surprised that you didn't really put things in context before you gave your speeches. We have almost 30,000 Palestinians murdered by the Israeli regime, over 12,000 children. We have over 90% of the population are starving now. Babies have been born to malnourished mothers, and they're only living for a few days. And you're saying that there's an unacceptable violation of international law going on, and it's the Houthis doing it? Under international law, we have an obligation to prevent genocide taking place. The EU has done nothing to stop the genocide taking place. The Houthis have done something about it, and by interfering with shipping, facilitating the genocide. How, in God's name, how can you just turn a blind eye to the truth of what's really happening? The Houthis have killed nobody with the interference in the ships. Israel has killed 30,000, and you're giving out about the Houthis who've killed nobody. You're putting shipping before the lives of Palestinians. You just don't give a damn about the Palestinian lives, and that's the truth of the matter. And you're worried about spillover. In international law, Israel is bombing Lebanon, is bombing Syria, is bombing Gaza, and you're worried about the Yemenis interfering with ships because there's money been lost over it?
That's pause there. Pause there. That's why. That's the issue.
Yep.
Capital. Capital. That's the issue.
Yep.
Houthis be damned. It's capital that the West is losing from this. So that gives them the justification. Oh, we're going to bomb you asses.
I just don't understand how you can take this perspective. What he's going to do about it? He's ever going to tell Israel that they're committing a genocide? Because if this is not a genocide that's going on in Gaza, then what would you call it? That's one of my questions to you. I want you to know, what would you call what's going on in Gaza if it's not a genocide? And my other question to you is, if right now the US and UK are bombing cities in Yemen, do you think that's against the UN Charter? Because I do. Please tell me. It might be okay with the international rules-based order that just make up as you go along, but it is not okay with the UN Charter. Give us a break.
You know what? I'm just really thinking, and I've said this online several times, and I think it bears repeating here. If Trump was doing, now everyone's saying, oh, we have to vote for Biden because Trump is going to be way worse on Israel, right? That's what the justification that people are saying right now. But I would argue, honestly, again, and I think I said this last week, if the US under Trump was being charged at The Hague, like, the media will talk about that nonstop. They will call for impeachment on Trump right then and there. Honestly, as shit as Biden is on Trump is on Israel too, I honestly don't think, and this is just my opinion, like
unified front.
This is my opinion.
Yeah.
And you can come for me in the comments if you want. But I think there'll be more of a precedent for Trump to actually do something more than what Biden is doing. Because Trump cares about, like,
his image.
Yeah. And he doesn't want to necessarily do things that kind of overstep that. So in light of what's happening right now, I highly doubt, like, he would make it to, I'm sure it's going to happen to this, but probably not to this degree. But the idea, like, being complicit of genocide, like, there'll be calls for Biden to be impeached right now if everything was happening under him. But there's not been a peep behind Biden, but we're being forced to vote for the dude anyway. That makes no sense to me.
Caitlin writes, when you see how effective the Houthis have been at using Yemen's critical location to shut down Red Sea traffic, you understand why the U.S. spent years backing a horrific genocidal military campaign trying to get rid of them. Yep, as the
also
UAE continues
and we talked about, again, Gering Canal.
Yep, which is
like why they've had
right over here, I think.
No,
like
it's
this way.
Red Sea.
Here.
Yeah,
this one. But yeah, they'd still get blocked by Yemen, you know. So
right.
A new person enters the battle, Collin. I have where's that? Where's the thing?
Oh, we gotta play yeah.
Yeah. So Iraqi resistance joins Yemen in opposing naval blockade against Israel. So yeah. So there's that. Old Keith McHenry. So Caitlin continues, it is worth noting that since the Thursday press conference, the number of U.S. strikes on Yemen has increased from 5 to 7 as of this writing. It is also worth noting here that per Singh's absurd definition, the U.S. has not been at war since the end of World War II, as there has not been a clear declaration of war since June 5th, 1942. Yes, that's, yes.
I mean, we can't name the number of coups that have been facilitated on the African continent alone. And we
except those have never been declared by us as things we've done. It's essentially like Congress didn't declare them, so it's not a war, you know? So the wars the U.S. has officially declared through Congress in accordance with its own constitution have been the War of 1812, the Mexican-American War, the Spanish-American War, and the two World Wars. So no Vietnam, no Korea, no Desert Storm, no Gulf conflict, no, like, start naming them, bro. Like, those are all just conflicts. So if you go by this definition, the U.S. is among the more peaceful nations in the world, since it hasn't been at war in 8 decades. In reality, the U.S. is the single most warlike and murderous nation of modern times, with wars of aggression that have killed millions and displaced tens of millions just in the 21st century alone, and plays some role in most of the world's major international conflicts. Singh's claim that the U.S. attacks on Yemen are defensive in nature is also self-evidently absurd. Yemeni forces weren't even attacking American commercial vessels until the U.S. began attacking them. Only the U.S. could launch unprovoked attacks on a foreign nation on the other side of the planet and call it self-defense. Anti-War's Dave DeCamp, friend of the show, explains, before the U.S. began bombing the Houthis, Ansar Allah officials made clear they would only stop attacking Israeli-linked commercial shipping if the onslaught on Gaza ended. Instead of pressing Israel to end the slaughter in Gaza, President Biden chose escalation. And now the Houthis are targeting U.S. commercial shipping, and several U.S. merchant vessels have been hit with missiles. Here's Dave. Biden has bombed Yemen 7 times in just over a week, and the Houthis are not backing down as they welcome confrontation from the U.S. I think it's a matter of, like, what can you do to us that you have not already done? Like, as far as Yemen is concerned, you know,
Right.
They're like, we've seen it, we've dealt with it, bring it, you know? Right. So, like, indeed, the only reason Houthi forces began attacking ships in the Red Sea was to pressure Israel and its allies into ceasing the ongoing massacre that has been taking place in Gaza since October 7th. As usual, the world's most murderous and powerful government is framing its horrifying acts of extreme aggression as innocent, defensive responses to unprovoked attacks, when in reality the U.S. empire is bombing Yemen in order to facilitate the genocide of Palestinians. And while we're on the subject of Gaza and Yemen, it's probably worth pointing out that according to U.S. empire managers, the stated goals of both campaigns have been completely unsuccessful. A new report by the Wall Street Journal says, according to U.S. intelligence, Israel is nowhere remotely close to eliminating Hamas, with only 20 to 30% of the group having been killed since October. Asked by the press on Thursday if the strikes against the Houthis are working, Biden replied, well, when you say working, are they stopping the Houthis? No. Are they going to continue? Yes.
Yeah.
So they're raining military explosives on impoverished Middle Easterners to maintain their status quo domination under the pretense of goals which they themselves admit are not being achieved. Just another day in the empire, I guess. It's been an incredibly draining past 100 days for those who have been following events in Gaza. There have been days when I couldn't believe the sun dared to shine. The premise that there shouldn't even be a slight economic downturn as a result of this madness, and then it's fine to start a war to make sure there isn't, deserves to be dismissed with extreme disdain. We live in a dystopian world where it's completely normalized to subvert human interest to commercial interests, to toss tens of thousands of lives into the incinerator for wealth and convenience, where war profiteers rake in vast fortunes for selling instruments of mass murder to genocidal governments, and where the most powerful empire in history declares a war to defend shipping containers at the cost of human life. Don't ever let these sick freaks convince you that this is normal. Thoughts?
I mean, I said it already, but
Yeah.
this is all in the name of capital. And on the U.S. side, well, by Israel. Yemen has a right to, basically, Yemen is taking a stand, again in the name of Gaza. And yeah, it's just, and now the Houthis are the next target in terms of, but again, we gotta vote for Biden now, you know. Like,
Oh
I can't
God.
get over it. It's like we gotta vote for Biden now because Trump is gonna bring us to World War III. As
This
if
is the most election of our
we're,
lifetime.
Yep.
yeah, but we're there already.
Donald Trump, he
So
incited something.
President Trump incited an erection.
Yeah. So let us know what you think. Leave a comment. You know how this works. Like, subscribe, do all the things. Make sure to share this video. We're heavily suppressed, and we appreciate all the help we can get. Let me go check. People are holding it down on the Rumble. We got Ghost Start in there. We got Indy in there. We got Wichigo in there. Mike Wallace and Claire Daly are legends. I couldn't agree more. So yeah.
Yeah, there are at least a couple of people in the EU that have some semblance of sense.
It's crazy that politicians are capable of doing good things over there.
Right.
If there was anyone half as decent here, I'd be happy about it. But
right.
you ready for our next one?